Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Does a fat baby fart? I mean, does a 100-pound of flour make a big biscuit? Heck yeah, I'm concerned. I'm here for the petty. I'm here for the hatred. I'm here for all of that stuff. It's all about 14, who you're seeing on your screen.
Surprisingly, we've seen a little bit of buyback on Florida here.
Because Vandy just went like, come here, bend over, belt meet bottom, right? Like just slap that, like in all different kinds of ways.
I thought, oh, Georgia Clemson, money line. Yep. And the money has not stopped on Georgia Tech. That's alarming.
It's socially acceptable at Georgia as an adult to bark at another human. And I was like, that is fantastic.
I think right now, you won't get a better price the rest of the season.
He's high. You're betting him to win the title. Dante Moore, Heisman. And then we get a meow.
If Northwestern.
They do not profile like a 10-win team. They profile like 7-win type teams. I can't wait to let 18 to 22-year-olds emotionally ruin me.
I made a call, to Vegas. I said, look, we actually need the favorite here.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Bearbets, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings Sportsbook is the best place to bet touchdowns this season. And new customers this week, you bet $5, you get $200 in bonus bets paid instantly. Make sure you download that app. Use the promo code BEARBETS. That's BEARBETS, 2 words. You sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Joined again by Sammy P., Jeff Schwartz. After the first couple of weeks of the college football season, I guess you could say maybe the layers of contenders, pretenders are probably taking place a little bit here. And obviously the SEC is where it's at this week.
Should be a fun week of ball. We'll get finally some conference matchups, as you mentioned. Some of these teams have played nobody for now. Well, they'll play someone in week 3. We'll get a better idea of what these teams can be.
Guess what I did, Bear? I put Oregon in my top 5. I've got them 5 now. I do. The numbers don't lie. I've got them 5 now.
17-5?
No, I had them 8. Now I have them 5.
Well, you and I are kind of on the same wavelength there. We're going to make Jeff very, very mad, very upset, because I think if you look at like the futures market right now, Oregon is a team that you want to hop on right now.
Oh boy,
because we talk about the number, we talk about the price. And Jeff, how you cover earmuffs, Jeff. Like Oregon at 10-1 to win the national title. They're around 5-1 or so to finish the regular season undefeated. Dante Moore, 13-1, 14-1 to win the Heisman Trophy. These are all numbers that if they lose at Penn State, or if they win rather at Penn State in a couple of weeks, they're going away. So if you want to bet Oregon, and if you like Oregon, now is the time to do it, Jeff.
And then Dan Lanning will leave for the NFL.
Please ignore all positive Oregon vibes on this show and continue to not watch us play and not pay attention and have no idea that Dante Moore is good. I liked it when Iowa's quarterback was better in the preseason than Dante Moore was going to be. So we can that
went well.
Look, obviously I love Oregon. I think we're really good. Win a championship? I don't know, but you're right about the price, right? It's going to keep coming down and down, so it's a time to get on it now. One price I think will continue to come down is Utah to win the Big 12. You want to get in now. They play Wyoming this weekend. It might be a look-ahead game, but then get Texas Tech at home next week, and that's when the price starts going down if they beat Texas Tech. They are a good football team, guys. They're good on defense, as we know. Offensive line, one of the best in the country. Dampier looks good at quarterback. Still got to get better with explosive plays. That's been a problem of theirs over the years, guys. But I think right now, you won't get a better price the rest of the season. If they drop a game or two, maybe them. But if they drop a few games, Sammy, that's the end of it for them anyways.
That Dampier Heisman price continues to go down. I saw 15-1.
Wow.
It was 35-1 before week 2. Crazy. That thing is getting bet. I know Illinois just won their 10th game against Duke. They're going to be 10-2 now. Everybody knows that. The win total is 8.5. And the over is -120. Oh, just come on in. The hook is real, baby. Come on in. All they got to do is win 9, Bear.
For winning 2 games that they were favored in, right?
You got Indiana. You got USC. You got Ohio State. Washington's not going to be easy on the road. Maybe Northwestern pulls an upset late in the season. I'm under 8.5 on Illinois. I know it's not going to be popular, but I'm doubling down.
What are you making Illinois at Indiana next weekend?
Oh, Illinois will be favored, but I think Indiana should be favored.
Oh, I can't wait to bet Indiana. I'll just pre-bet them right
if Illinois
now.
is 3-0,
best bet next
they're
week.
going to be minus 1.5. Oh, yeah.
We're already getting excited for next week.
I mean, you have to look ahead sometimes, right?
I do.
If that's a number up already, I mean, I think Indiana wins that game at home. Look, Illinois' offensive line, they returned all 5 guys. Not been good. It's not good to return 5 guys and not play this well.
I think they're like 65th or 64th. That is Power 5 teams in sacks allowed through for his first couple of weeks.
There's only 68.
Yeah, correct. So Duke was getting after them early, but Illinois, give them credit. They did win the game. They are undefeated. They beat Duke, took advantage of the turnovers. When we get back from break, we joined by our good friend David Pollack, Georgia legend, college football Hall of Famer, kick around all the big games in the SEC this week. We're back now, Bear Bets podcast, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Big week in the SEC, so we figure we bring in one of the greatest players ever to play in the SEC, 2-time SEC Defensive Player of the Year, college football Hall of Famer, Bednarik winner, Nagurski winner, first-round draft pick, and one of the best Georgia Bulldogs of all time. David Pollack now hosting the C-Ball Get Ball podcast. And David, you are so dialed into that program down in Athens. Going into the year, there was kind of this narrative, but a lot of people throwing out there like, no, they might be better off with Gunnar Stockton. It's been a really weird start to the year for Georgia. Weather delays, injuries. What have you been able to gain from the first couple of games? Is Georgia just kind of playing possum in the weeds, or do we think there might be some legitimate concerns here?
We talk about this every year, don't we, Bear? Like trying to figure out who the guys are and specifically the quarterback spot. Like, do I have any concerns about Georgia's defense? Not at all. Specific matchup this week with Tennessee. You know, Heupel averages 39 points a game in his career. Bear, he averages 14 against Georgia. And it's not a surprise. It's the challenging outside with the cornerbacks playing aggressive. They've got several of them this year. They've got 3. So I think the defense, you know, we know what they are. We know what Kirby's been with them. It's all about 14, who you're seeing on your screen. I mean, Gunnar Stockton has elite running backs. He's got elite receivers. It's not like last year where guys are going to drop balls all over the place. It's just, can he take that step? Can he be the guy, not just that has everybody's hearts and like they're motivating him, like he's getting motivated by him. Can he make those plays down the field? He hasn't had to do it through 2 weeks. I'm so excited to see against a Tennessee team that's physical up front. They're banged up at corner. Can you make those plays? And there's no excuses. It's go time for 14 and for this offense for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Where we sit, David, the market is betting against Georgia, though. And I'm not saying I agree with it. I don't think these guys agree with it, but the money does talk. Georgia opened -6. Now it's 3.5. The market does not believe in Stockton. If he thrives, if he proves them wrong, what will happen on Saturday?
Well, I mean, obviously that will change, but Bear's also taught me, listen, Bear, I've grown up in the gambling world with Bear. I know very little. I know he speaks a different language, but Bear, didn't you always teach me too, when it's all going one direction, we're going back the other way, right? Like when something's going massively for the public. So I've been told that by the great Chris Felica. Listen, I get it. I understand it. They look lackluster in the first couple games. But I tell you what, if you really study Colby Young and Branch and Thomas on the outside, they got some dudes. Delp and Lucky haven't been involved in the game plan. The biggest concern for Georgia, man, is up front. Like, Gunnar hasn't had a chance to really have the play action because right side of the line's already taken some hits, and those guys, the right guard's out, who's a freshman freak elite that they love. They think is a future first-round pick. Green's been out at right tackle. They've been down to their third tackle at some point. So everybody has to play well. But here's the thing. Georgia's defense is going to play good. They're going to play good and keep them in this football game. They always do against Heupel. Kirby's been having the upper edge for a while. So to me, it's on the other side, and it'll change the narrative quickly. If Gunnar hits a few passes down the field, makes a few explosive plays, everybody's going to like, oh, wait a minute. Is Georgia one of the best teams in the country now?
If you're Tennessee, what would be your game plan to generate more of those explosive pass plays? Only 2 now in the last 2 years. Obviously, a big part of what they do offensively is trying to find those big plays down the field. How would you approach it if you're Heupel?
Well, you got to realize that you're going to get man-to-man, and you're going to get single high safety a bunch. The problem with Heupel in these matchups that I haven't liked is so Tennessee's offense is a half the read field most of the time, right? Like it's about tempo. It's not like you'll see sometimes on tape, half the guys aren't even running routes because they're like, I'm not even in this. Like they're going to go to the other side. So how do you attack the whole field? How do you take advantage of single high? Like the one thing about last year, when you talk about Nico, like we loved him. We loved his athletic ability, his arm. He threw a great ball. He missed a lot of those deep shots. Joey's got a cannon now. Like Joey can hit some of those deep shots. It's the deep shots. You want to play single high the whole time? I can do my switch releases, and I can take bombs down the field and make Georgia pay for playing that kind of coverage. That's what they got to do. They've never had a lot of success protecting up front against this offense. I've also seen more this year than I've ever seen from Heupel, bringing it in, condensed splits, changing what they do a little bit, making it a little bit easier on your quarterback, QB run game. All those things I think could help alleviate some pressure.
So this is obviously one of the greater rivalries in the SEC. And one of the things that unfortunately comes about with all this college conference expansion, we may not see these games every year again. I mean, obviously you've had some great moments, number one ranked teams in there, the great Larry Munson, the hobnail boot call. You played in a bunch of these. What's your favorite memory either from watching this growing up or actually from, I'm more interested, what's your favorite memory of actually taking part in this game and maybe even more specifically at Neyland Stadium?
Yeah. So my first visit to Georgia, and when I knew I wanted to go to the University of Georgia, Georgia was playing Tennessee in Sanford Stadium. And it was that 2000 year when they upset them and the place went bananas. They ripped the goalpost down. One of the best atmospheres I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, it's socially acceptable at Georgia as an adult to bark at another human. And I was like, that is fantastic.
It should be socially acceptable everywhere, right?
It should be. But how about this, Bear? I go to Neyland Stadium as a freshman. First of all, I'm a defensive tackle as a freshman. And the other defensive tackles on the other side is 6'7" John Henderson, 6'5" Albert Haynesworth. Like those are the defensive tackles. I'm like, one of these are not like the other, first of all. The loudest stadium that I've ever heard in my life at one moment was when Travis Stevens caught the screen pass to go up late before the hobnail boot call after that. I'm on the sidelines, and I'll never forget, I'm talking to the guy next to me, and we're trying to have a conversation, and it's like you're in a soundproof booth. Like I couldn't hear a word he said, and he's right here, right next to me. That's how loud the stadium was. Unbelievable atmosphere. The rivalry is good. Now, listen, Georgia's won 8 straight, so it's kind of lost the luster of the rivalry. But you always see rivalries go back and forth. And you're right, Bear. You love having those rivalry games that you got to get up for, that you hate the other side, which is fantastic. I'm here for the petty. I'm here for the hatred. I'm here for all of that stuff. That is what makes college football fantastic.
You mentioned throughout this some of the Georgia offensive line concerns. There might be some guys coming back healthy. How do you get that unit sort of focused and ready to go to play in this loud road environment when you have some new pieces sort of mixed in throughout the starting lineup this weekend?
The offensive lineman, it is about athletic ability. It is about size. That is a big, important part. But any offensive lineman you talk to, coach you talk to, or OC or anybody, like if you can get 5 guys that know each other, that play on the same page, it makes all of them better. And they can perform better as a unit. Like, because I know what they're doing. I know how they get to the next level. I know their cadence, their timing, their rhythm when we double team and chip. And like, I know communication is very easy. So, I mean, I think it's going to be tough to communicate. You want to make it easy, run the football. And Georgia's made that a priority. Make no bones about it. Go to a practice, bro. Power. Like, they're going to run goal line. They're going to smash each other. Like, that is been a staple for Kirby for a long time. So that's one thing. Even if your line isn't the greatest, like Gunner gives you an extra man in the zone read, he can actually run it. Like, there hasn't been a quarterback in a while that could run it, pull it, and make the right decision. So the run game, listen, that's what made Georgia all those years, dudes. Like, it wasn't listen, they could air it out, but if they couldn't run the football, it was all null and void. Like, they have to be able to ground and pound, be the more physically dominant team on the offensive side of the football.
David, I know we're not going to cry for Alabama, and I don't know if you saw the story that somebody said if they won the Powerball, they were going to buy out DeBoer's salary. Very, very funny.
So amazing.
Is Alabama going to be
amazing.
okay? Question mark.
Here's the thing. Here's what I'll say about that. Alabama hasn't lost their players. There's still a bunch of greatness over there. Is the system different? Absolutely. Is the player different? Yes. If Alabama wants to get where they want to get to this year, Ryan Williams has to be Ryan Williams. Point blank. Because Ty Simpson, I think, is going to be a good quarterback. Did he get some happy feet week 1? Yeah. Did his protection suck? Yes. They need to do a better job protecting him. They've got some injuries they're dealing with. He gets settled in. Ryan Williams, the first 4 games last year, you're like, okay, he's better than Jeremiah Smith, right? Contorted catches, run after catch, unbelievable job. And then the last 8 games of the season, he didn't even go over 100 yards. So he's got to figure that part out. If they don't have that explosive playmaker guy, I don't think Alabama's going to go to the playoff. If they can find that, then they can. But it's disappointing to see you get outrushed by almost 200 yards by FSU. So they're not the same Alabama. We know that. They've lost to a bunch of unranked. Kalen DeBoer is 13-4 against unranked opponents. Or 14-4. And Nick Saban was 250-4. Dan Lanning's 27-0. Right? Beat the teams you're supposed to beat. And that's the thing about Alabama that you got to be frustrated. But it's about Ryan Williams and those explosive, game-changing plays from the now 18-year-old.
That was something that we talked about before the year, David. People were just kind of assuming Bama was
You nailed it. You were all over it,
Going to be Bama. And Williams really struggled after that great game that he had against Georgia. And Saban winning 97 straight games against unranked teams is the most impressive part of that dominant run that they had. But the other big game in the SEC, maybe a little bit less of a luster because of what happened in the swamp last week. Florida going to LSU. Surprisingly, we've seen a little bit of buyback on Florida here. It's down from 9.5 to 7.5. Are we maybe giving up a little bit too soon on the Gators, or are there legit troubles on that offensive line and they just might get eaten alive there Saturday in Baton Rouge?
Well, and see, this is the most frustrating part. If you go back and watch the tape from a week ago, you said, are the frustrations are the offensive line, and what are they doing? They actually ran the football pretty well. Lagway didn't get pressured by a defensive lineman. Not once. He had a lot of time to make plays, to throw the football, and to do some damage, and he didn't. That would probably be the most frustrating part of going back and watching that. Here's what I'll say about Florida, man. Last year, Bear, we buried them. We thought they were dead. And when everybody hated on them, they fought like dogs and they got back into their season and had a great season. So does that happen now? Now that they're getting, there's dirt being dug on the grave, they suck, fire Napier again. Can they get it going? Can Ball get the rock as much as he needs to? Because that dude's a freak, man. I mean, that dude is an absolute – He's one of the strongest players on the team. He's breaking weightlifting records. He's so good after contact. He's hard to tackle. Get that ground game going. DJ lag bombs away because that's what it should be. That's what he's best at, man. He's best at the deep ball. You've got to take shots. Does he have to check the ball down? Yes. Does he have to scramble a little bit? Yes. But I think the most discouraging thing was they actually protected him pretty well. But last week, 11 penalties, the big one late in the football game, 2 touchdowns called back, 4 penalties. You've got to do a better job of not shooting yourselves in the foot. Interested to watch LSU too, because I've been as surprised as anybody. If you could give me now a do-over pick, watching LSU's defensive line pressure, their back end cover people, they look like a really, really good defense. And it's been several years since we've seen that come. They've been aggressive, man. Aggressive, blitzing like crazy and holding up in the back end really, really well. I think LSU is going to win the football game. Bear, you also know the atmospheres in Death Valley at night. I think that's a 31-20 type of a game. But I do think – because Trey'Dez Green, I think, is out of the ball game too. Mm-hmm. Their matchup nightmare at tight end for LSU. That's a big loss for them.
You mentioned LSU's defense. It does feel like out of all the units in the country that we maybe expected to take a step forward, they've done the best now through 2 weeks. What have you noticed about what's made them so good early in the season?
I mean, it's the coverage in the back end. It's really, really good. Less bust, less guys running for scot-free. They haven't given up an explosive pass play yet. Not one. That gives you an idea. Last year, LSU had, or Florida against them had, 5 or 6, I think, in that ball game. Clemson, didn't have a single one in that football game. But it's, to me, the catalyst is Whit Weeks. Like, he's the guy in the middle that you have to appreciate, like, just football and how he is, because he has an assignment. He's supposed to blitz a gap. In football, everybody's so like, if I'm supposed to go there, I'm going there. That dude will read it on the fly and make an adjustment and go make a play. And you're like, God dang, like, ball player. Harold Perkins Jr. looks like Harold Perkins Jr. And they can use him all over the field. But the biggest thing, man, is the back end. The back end is solid. So now they blitz at 50% rate, man. Like, they're bringing pressure. They've got dudes that can get home. And more importantly, they got guys that can stick a little bit. So, I mean, are they going to face better offenses? Yes. Obviously Clemson, we don't know what they are yet, because obviously they've been one of the most disappointing teams in college football.
Halsey, bringing Halsey in from Houston has been a massive coup for LSU in the back end. And you mentioned it. I was going to ask you about Clemson, because you and I had discussed this before the year, and you were very high on Clemson, and obviously they struggled. It still looks like they're looking for a running game. Offensive line kind of struggled a bit against LSU as well. Are you concerned about LSU, or you think this might take a little while to come together, because it looked a whole lot like the Clemson we saw last year?
I mean, does a fat baby fart? I mean, does a 100-pound of flour make a big biscuit? Heck yeah, I'm concerned. Like, I mean, are you watching? Like, of course we are. Like, here's what Clemson looks like to me, Bear. I think they're a team, and Cade Klubnik is a quarterback that they were so dialed in, but it started with Antonio Williams. He's their guy. He's their go-to guy. He's the guy they move around. He's their big playmaker. He's the trust factor guy. When they lost him, I don't know if their head exploded or what. Like, Westkill kicked it in gear last week, especially in the second half. But it's almost like they got lost for a little bit. And it's just been frustrating to watch, because I'm definitely not all in from what I've seen. How could you be? And physically, like, you got to at least attempt to run the football. And I think this week against Georgia Tech, man, I'm sure, like, this could be a very interesting game. Like, Haynes King's going to be back. Clemson or Georgia Tech very much has an identity on offense. Like, we know exactly who they are, what they are. They're explosive. They'll make plays. They'll run the option game. Now, they've turned the football over way too much this season, like way too much. First 3 possessions of the Colorado game, first 2 possessions last week. Like, they've turned it over way too much and made too many mistakes. But Clemson, they got to show us something. Is it all Antonio Williams? I don't think so. I think that has a big part of it. But Cade Klubnik and his feet will determine how far they go. Bear, if you can't get the running game going, get the +1. Get the quarterback involved. Run the zone read that he can run. Run the power read that you can invert it and he can run. There's a freshman tailback over there that maybe we need to see a little bit more. Now, I get it. Week 1, put him in this game for 1 snap, Bear. 1 snap. Guess what he did? They checked the play. You could tell. They checked the play. They used him as a lead blocker, and he went, woo, strike 1, swing and a miss. Guess how many plays he played after that? 0. You know why? Because no block, no rock. Like, it's pretty simple. And so I think that, they've got to find the ground element. It has to be Klubnik. He's not a good athlete. He's a really good athlete. And so I look for them to use him more week in and week out. He's got to find a way to not take shots, but they're going to have to do that, and they're going to have to get better up front.
You mentioned LSU as a team. Maybe I want to do over on from preseason. Is there another team out there that really kind of surprised you or maybe caught you off guard? Either they're a lot better than I thought they would be, or they're a lot worse than I thought they'd be. Someone out there that maybe we haven't mentioned yet?
Well, I had Miami in the playoff. You did too. So they're not as surprising, just because the lines of scrimmage we knew would be really, really good. I'll say this. I kind of was like, all right, Vandy won like 3 games in the last 11 years. Like, I'm kind of out on them. And then they had that good year last year. I'm like, they're going to come back down to earth. And man, have I been impressed with them. And I'll be curious to hear what you guys have to say about that, Bear. Like, they've lost 16 in a row to South Carolina. It's at South Carolina. Everything about that says you should take South Carolina. If you're watching South Carolina and this Shula offense, like, it hasn't clicked yet. Like, 200 yards last week. 17 points in the bowl game. Like, thank God for the punt return game, having 3 in 2 games that has been the most dominant part of their team. But man, Pavia just reminds you, like, and Beck, like he went back in the lab and did like, because they finished really poorly down the stretch, but they have so many ways to stress a defense. We might be talking about Vanderbilt after this week being a top 15 team, a top 20 team for sure, if they can find a way to get a win at South Carolina. And they've been surprising, man. Their defense has been better than we've seen in the past as well. So USF would be the easy answer. I mean, thumping Boise 34-7 and then beating Florida, is obviously hugely improved. But I think that comes back down to earth this week. I don't know where you're at on that one, but I think that one's going to be, I think Miami's really good on both sides of the line of scrimmage, which is going to cause a lot of problems. But we could go through a bunch of teams. I think Arkansas looks pretty good, but there's so many good games this week. We're going to get some good intel on some good teams.
Yeah, the worst thing possible for USF's chances this week was them beating Florida in the swamp. But for Alex Golesh, he's going to get a job next year. They're the group of five front runner right now.
Good.
I'm glad you mentioned Vandy because we talked about this earlier in the week. Like that line kind of makes no sense, and we've seen that number come down quite a bit. But if you watch the season opening game, South Carolina in Atlanta against Vanderbilt, and you watch what Vandy did last week on the road at Lane Stadium, they didn't get stopped in the second half. So I
common opponent, right?
Yep.
Like that's the thing that when you're smart, Bear, and like you that have been in the game for so long, you start to watch those things, and you're like, South Carolina couldn't run it on Virginia Tech. First week, Bear, I'm like, okay, Virginia Tech's defense is pretty good, and then I'm like, nope. I was wrong because South Carolina or because Vandy just went like, come here, bend over, belt meet bottom, right? Like just slap that like in all different kinds of ways. So yeah, and listen, everybody overreacts about the polls. And Bear, we've heard this for years too on game day and on the different shows. Like upsets happen. That's why they build the big buildings in Vegas. Okay. Like that's why those buildings are so nice. The chandeliers are so nice. Sometimes people are better than you think too. And as the season grows along, we get more data and we figure that stuff out. And so, yeah, I'm very intrigued by that game for the same reason, because I've seen a common opponent and Vanderbilt look 10 times more dominant and look like a much better team. But there's also going to South Carolina, which we also know, golly, man, that place will be absolutely rocking.
From Enter Sandman to Sandstorm. So we have a fun 2 weeks for Andy. I could go on and do this forever, but you got more important things to do than talk to us here.
I got A&M in the playoff too. How you feeling about A&M and Notre Dame?
I think that's one of those that either A&M wins outright or Notre Dame covers the number. It doesn't feel like that's like a field goal. What concerns me is how well UTSA ran the ball at Kyle Field in the opening game. But it kind of feels like Notre Dame either gets the big win or lose. It's been a hell of a long time since A&M beat a ranked team on the road. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting too, because like this is the last stand for Notre Dame. They have no more ranked games on their schedule. Now you can tell me, I think USC will be ranked at some point. I think at Arkansas is tough. They play Boise, so it's not like super cupcake, but this is the start of the campaign for the Aggies to me. Like they got studs on the offensive line. They feel like they've done exactly what they're supposed to do to start the season. We know what they're about. They are about ground and pound, smash you between the eyeballs. They've thrown it 70% of the time in the first two games. Why? Because they want to get that passing game dialed in. Because when they're going to need it coming up. And Craver out wide and Concepcion out wide. Hey, Bear, I said this in the preseason and people made fun of me. Casey Concepcion reminds me of Percy Harvin. Like, he's that kind of good to me. Like he is, put him in motion, give him the rock. He'll break tackles. He'll take it to the house. Already got a punt return. Already got a receiving touch. He's got 4 tutties already. Like, and those two are fit perfectly with Marcel Reed, the RPO game, the downhill game. I think A&M gets the dub. I think it's 27-20, like A&M.
Well, I know Concepcion was a guy that Miami was very interested in, and then they wound up with Daniels, which wasn't too bad of a consolation prize. So
they got Tony. They don't need it. Good Lord. That sucker is a freaking baller.
Yeah.
God.
Next 2 weeks.
He stuck out last week to me so bad because, like, Barrett, some people can control their body and make cuts full speed, but they don't have the art of like giving you a little something. And last week when he caught that ball in the flat and he kind of looks left and then sticks that foot in the ground and absolutely leaves a jock strap at like the 35-yard line, you're like, dude, this – and Beck, you can tell, loves him already. That dude, 10, looks like a freak for Miami.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see more from him the next couple of weeks. USF, Florida, and then first week in October, maybe a big top 5, top 10 matchup, maybe like old times in Tallahassee. So, my man.
Yeah, baby.
I know we could.
All right, big homie. Appreciate
literally, we could sit here forever and talk ball, and I appreciate you taking the time. Enjoy the game up there in Nealon this week, and we'll talk again soon. Be well, my man.
Yes, sir. See you guys.
Welcome back into the Bear Bets podcast. That was awesome from David Pollack, someone who has intimate knowledge of the Georgia-Tennessee rivalry. Obviously, everything else that we covered there, we'll cover a little bit more with our feelings. But, Bear, let's start with that big game between Georgia and Tennessee. I know you have a wager you really like.
Yeah, my best bet presented by DraftKings Sportsbook is in this game. And now that this number's come down and hit 3.5, I bet Georgia minus the 3.5 here. I am, you don't have to encourage me. I'll splash my own pot whenever I want to, damn it. But I like Georgia. I don't know if they're necessarily been playing possum this entire time, but I think getting at least one, if maybe not both of those offensive linemen back, I think that will help. Going on the road, I think David went into detail about the wide receivers they have. And the defense has been much better than what I think people, certainly I thought that they would be. There's a reason that they've had 6 red zone drives in the last 3 years and scored an average of 14 points a game. Kirby Smart's defense has shut down Heupel's offense in the past. I think they do it again this week, and I like the Dogs. Woo, 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 woo. He said grown men are allowed to bark.
That's
why I barked.
I love this cheap money line price because remember, this number was 6 when it opened on Sunday, and now we're down to 3.5. There's a chance we get to 3. There's a lot of Tennessee money, and it's sharp money, not public money to knock it from 6 to 3.5. But the other push I feel like is going to happen, and that's why I'm looking to put Georgia in money line parlays with other things. Maybe I've done a Georgia Notre Dame moneyline parlay.
Just hypothetically?
Maybe I've done a Georgia Old Dominion parlay. Now, Old Dominion's a dog against Va Tech and Brent Pry. I am putting Georgia moneyline in a lot of things this weekend.
So we know Tennessee's offense over the years has been very explosive, right? High-powered. The last 2 years against Georgia, can you guys give me a guess how many explosive passing plays has Tennessee had in the last 2 games against Georgia?
2.
You're right. You nailed it. First time. 2.
Good job.
2. That's it.
I don't even get to guess.
So how are they going to generate those explosive plays in this game with personnel that probably is not as good as it's been in previous years? That's my biggest concern. And look, the Austin Peay game for Georgia, we've seen when teams have rain delays, long rain delays, they come out, it's pretty sluggish afterwards. I don't judge them at all for that game. And we've seen throughout the years when, Georgia has not had sort of that big warm-up game that we've seen in previous years, where they play that non-conference opponent, they have to show everything in game 1. We've seen a lot of times where teams slow play at game 1 and 2, and they get that big game in week 3 or 4 or 5, and the offense just takes off. I trust Georgia here defensively, trust them offensively, and I have not seen Tennessee be able to score at the rate they have to score against Georgia to make this game. So I'm with Georgia as well. I kind of like your parlay idea. I might make that happen for myself as well. Another game involving a team in Georgia. Georgia Tech's at Clemson. This game is now favored by 3. Clemson favored by 3. This game is come down a lot. It's pretty wild, Sammy, how far this number's moved.
I thought I would be on Clemson. We did our look-ahead show on Monday, and I thought, Georgia Clemson, money line. Yep. And the money has not stopped on Georgia Tech. That's alarming, right? I thought there would be that pushback. Wise guys would come in, lay the 3, get it back to 4. Has not happened yet as of tape, and that makes me nervous as somebody that was looking to come in and buy cheap on Clemson. But you've been down on them all year.
Right. That was something I was going to ask you. Is this an overreaction with the line, or is this just a straight, flat-out correction because the number's wrong?
Clearly, the power ratings were too high on Clemson coming into the season. And I think there was a lot of thought process going on that Clemson would just be able to flip a switch and fix everything. The market is saying no. The market is shoving against not only Georgia, but against Clemson. So Clemson probably just too tall coming into the season.
Correction, this game is actually at Georgia Tech. I said it was at Clemson. So it's at Georgia Tech, which will explain a little bit of the number move. The thing I go back to, same with Tennessee, is like Georgia Tech has one style offensively. And it's a good style. They win a lot of games with. Run the football, protect the quarterback in the passing game. We know King, he didn't play last week. How healthy is he in this game? Is that the style that's going to beat Clemson? I don't know. And then what if Clemson does awake this game? At some point, you feel like they're going to awake. If both those things happen, I do think Clemson is going to win and cover this game.
But I think there also needs to be some sort of recognition of this is what Clemson was last year.
I know.
They were a 3-loss team in the regular season last year that nearly didn't even make the ACC championship game. And they have the same type of problems, the inability to run the ball. And like,
I've pushed back on this, and we did this on this podcast about the idea of returning production. Now, parts of it I did like, which is basically the offense line was better last year, which I like. They all returned. The quarterback was good, returned. But it does feel like the teams with all this production, Illinois offensively, Clemson offensively, have just not been as good as we thought. And I'm not sure returning production is the best metric to use anymore to preview teams.
Yeah, Cade Klubnik was the second favorite for Heisman. Now he's 9th or 10th on the board, so it's all correlated. Yeah,
but I'm with you. I'm with you, Sammy. I went into this week thinking I was gonna shove it on Clemson, but the fact that there's been zero resistance, that alarms me.
All right, Bear, let's talk about your Miami Hurricanes hosting South Florida. South Florida off to a great start, probably the best start we've had in the country. Ohio State's up there, obviously, but South Florida, 2 big wins. I think this could be a drubbing by Miami in this game.
Yeah, it's if you were South Florida and your goal was solely to go into Miami and win, this is not the prescription that you want. You do not want to be coming in off of drubbing of Boise State and upset of Florida in the swamp. You're getting these exhibitions in the College Football Hall of Fame. You're the talk of the college football world. Alex Golich is going to get every Power 5 job imaginable that's open. You need to remember something. Last year, Miami put a 50 spot on the board. They averaged like 10 yards a play. They punted once. It was ugly. I think it's going to be ugly this year, but maybe in a different type of way. I think the backs that Miami had, Jordan Lyle had a big game last year against USF. I think this is going to be like one of those. Remember, like a lot of times, Alabama under Saban and Georgia under Kirby, it would just be the physicality up front, and they would just line up running back after running back and just bludgeon you like just slow, methodical beating. That's what I think we're going to see on Saturday night. This is Miami. USF has their full attention.
There are so many people that bet against Mario in the Notre Dame game that are going to do it here because you can't lay a big number with Mario. I mean, I've heard that a ton. Their D-line, Miami's D-line, is so big and so good. And I also think it's not talked about enough how well they did in the portal on the back end.
Yep.
Their secondary
five new pieces
is legit. This is a defensive team last year that had a lot of issues, a lot of holes. There was water in the boat. I think they're a complete team. And I also have a Carson Beck ticket, so to win the Heisman. But I would lay it.
Is 37-1 still out there?
37-1 is gone.
Or 33-1, is that still there?
That's gone too.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Do any look ahead situation for Miami with Florida next week?
I think they are so laser focused that
Bear knows
the bells
Bear
and the sirens are.
Bear made a call this week.
I make a call every week. I'm dialed in. Exactly.
I do think that your point is very astute when it comes to like South Florida's mindset right now. They think they're invincible, obviously, but I think you want to catch Miami when they don't think you're good. And they know you're good because you've won 2 straight games against
Pitt in November. That's what you need to be.
Yes, and so I think you're right about the bludgeoning that's going to happen.
Virginia on a Friday night. Like those are the games. That's where Miami's.
I mean, this feels like a 30-14 type of thing, or a little more.
38-14.
We need a little bit more.
Oh yeah. I didn't bet on it, so I don't.
Did you see the numbers?
Yeah,
30-14.
No.
More.
No.
38-14. More. I didn't make a wager in this game, so I'm going to sit back and just watch
Wise guys whacked Miami, though, at 14.5, 15, 16, 17, just pounded it.
Would you still take it now?
Yes.
Oh. I might do Sammy's favorite thing here.
I like the under better, though.
And take a wager on Miami as we talk this one out. Let's get to the other game, big game here in the South. Florida at LSU right now. LSU is 7.5-point favorite. Total hovering around 47-48. Sammy, what do you like in this one?
I was hoping for 10 when we talked about this game on Monday, guys. That ain't happening.
No.
Look at this, 7.5. This is a very pros against Joe's game. The public is on the favorite. Wise guys are on the dog. I'm off it. I'm naked on it. I have nothing. I was hoping for 10, Bear.
And we saw 9.5, and then we saw it come down. It's funny because Brian Kelly has this like knock of like not necessarily always winning the big game, losing early season games. Like these are spots he doesn't get upset in situations like this. You got to go back 42 straight home games they've won when they've been favored by at least 6 points. They don't lose at home in situations that they're going to win. Now, do I necessarily want to lay 7.5? Maybe not, because I do think you're going to see Florida's best effort on Saturday in Baton Rouge. But are we allowed to say that in 12 games against FBS opponents that DJ Lagway has 10 touchdowns and 10 picks? Are we allowed to say that?
Yeah, that I think has been the most disappointing thing. Like, I think
are we allowed to say that Billy Napier is 16-20 versus FBS opponents of Florida? Like, are we allowed to say that?
No, delete this. Delete all this. I think it's certainly fair to bring those things up. You know, I thought Lagway would be better this year, but I know, look, the injuries didn't practice much this offseason. Like that is certainly a concern. Now you're on the road. I get it. Last week was not how they wanted to play. Maybe it was a look-ahead spot. There were plenty of opportunities to actually win that game. But with the way LSU's defense is playing right now, and David Pollack talked about it, with the way that their offense should be able to continue to just get better throughout the season, this feels like a pretty tall task for Florida to come in there and make this competitive. Now, obviously, weird things happen. Sammy mentioned it, the sharps on Florida, like you don't want to be on the other side. I don't have anything on this game as of now, but I do think if you're building a money line parlay for this weekend, LSU would make it.
The books would love for Florida to pull the upset. They would love it. They would dance around the sports book.
So would Mario Cristobal.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Is there something to Miami, by the way, Bear, when they play in-state team wanting to run the score up? Like, is there a little bit of that at all in any of the game for the? I bet to been that with the Miami game.
Sammy, you know Mario as well, and Jeff, you know Mario. He is a fanatical, maniacal, tireless recruiter. He will do anything he possibly can to make if they are in a position to next week.
Yeah.
To win as big as possible, and send every single person who may have been considering Florida to them not considering Florida.
Mario is one of the most intense coaches I've ever seen on game day. I remember when I went back for Oregon game years ago. So most head coaches during warm-ups just stand like midfield, right? They just like hover midfield. They might walk around and do some and talk to the other coaches and whatnot. Mario does the offensive line warm-up. Like he's still like an offensive line coach. He goes and does the entire warm-up with the offensive line, like a crazed, like first-year offensive line GA. He's so amped up for these games. I think Bear, like that's their edge all the time, is that sort of maniacal want to win, and it's paying off with obviously I think better players as we know this year. Texas A&M goes to Notre Dame this week in Notre Dame, 6.5 point favorite, total 49.5 here. Bear, you mentioned earlier A&M doesn't win these games ever.
You know they've had a pretty long losing streak. Unranked, ranked non-conference games. I mean, I don't know how many there have been, but there's some numbers floating out there about A&M and their inability to win non-conference games on the road against ranked teams. And I don't necessarily have a plan in this game. I know it was why David Pollack talked about A&M being a very live dog, and I think we saw last year. They went off. Everyone seemed to love A&M in that opener last year against Notre Dame. Love had a big game. Their defense played great, and it didn't kind of play out that way. I think the fact that Notre Dame had the idle week last week off of the game against Miami, that was great. But this is the question I want to throw to you. Like, you can bet these yes-no markets on Notre Dame to make the playoff. Like, if you think Notre Dame's going to lose here, like, is this a good time maybe to bet a little no on Notre Dame to make the playoff? Because if they only have, if they lose, like you're potentially 10-2 if you win out, and the only quality win you're going to have the rest of the way would be USC.
I think they win here, and more on that later. I do have them hooked in a couple different things on the money line to make the playoff at DraftKings right now. -130. It's very cheap.
Oh, that's real
very cheap. They're -200, -225 before the season, and all they did was lose to a top 5 team.
Right.
You got to win this one. I love that they're off the bye.
Yes.
How about this, too? Adjusted win total, 9.5. They're favored in every game. There's not a game where they're not going to be favored.
I think a way to play this game is a first half on Notre Dame, because I think off the bye and the way Carr ended the Miami game, there's going to be a lot of confidence in what he can do. And they have 2 weeks to come up with a game plan, sort of like we've seen in college football and really in the NFL too, where this sort of early wave of those quote unquote scripted plays is when you see the most success offensively, and maybe A&M figures out what they're doing eventually. They have to get Love the ball more, right? I mean, I have it right here, right? A&M allowed 203 yards on the ground against UTSA. Not great. And Jeremiah Love got the ball, how many times? 10 times, less than 10 times in game one. I have to imagine
nine, I think it was.
Imagine he gets the ball more in this game. I lean toward the Irish in this one here. You have him in. You say how many money line parlays you put him in?
I have a bunch with Georgia, but I have several Georgia and Notre Dame just to win money line. If Marcel Reed goes into South Bend and beats me, I'll tip my cap.
Be it. Yeah, so be it. All right, time for Super Six now, sponsored by DraftKings. Bear and I both have columns breaking it down later in the week. One of the questions will be the outcome of the Oregon Northwestern game.
Pain.
Northwestern money line.
I would do that.
Can you imagine after this entire show, he's high, you're betting him to win the title, Dante Moore Heisman, and then we get a meow.
If Northwestern wins that game, I would be.
You shouldn't show up next week.
I would be in utter disbelief because the way Oregon's played lately. I don't know. All the money over there. I don't like. What are we supposed to do?
Money.
Yeah. What are we supposed to do? I mean, Oregon has played 2 games. They've won 59-13 and they won 69-3. I don't.
This is a better team though than the teams they've played.
Sure. What would Northwestern Oklahoma State be?
Northwestern on a neutral is probably 3, 4.
Four was good.
As I was computing in my head, I just got disgusted that we were even having this conversation.
Look, it's a 9 a.m. Pacific kickoff for Oregon, but they're practicing this week in the morning. Oregon doesn't have school yet, so they can fiddle with their schedule how they see fit. And I feel like they're on a mission.
It'd be
right
nice
now.
for them to actually have school at some point.
Eventually.
Do they go to school when they have school?
Hit or miss. Depends on how we feel in the given week. No, I mean, Oregon's a quarter school, so they play 4 games before their first. You know that. But I would imagine we're going to win.
The thing about Oregon, you can say what you want about who you've played early on. They did play a Power 4 team in Oklahoma State. And obviously another game. 2 games, not committed to turnover, not allowed to sack. It's pretty good execution.
Especially after how last year started. And we did fumble once against Montana State. We did not fumble against Oklahoma State, I should say. We have a look-ahead spot, I guess, to Oregon State. But Oregon State
they've covered every all 6 games against FBS opponents where they've been favored by 27 or more. They've covered.
They're just so well coached. They don't make mistakes. And Lanning is a lunatic. And I say that respectfully. I would play for him. I don't play football. Look at me. But I would play for him.
People talk about the Colorado video last year. My favorite video of all the stuff that they released was the gladiator type preview that they had at Michigan. Like when he sold them before the game, he's like, at some point, I'm going to stop the game and show you everyone leaving because we're kicking their ass.
So
that was awesome.
So it was twofold. It was the gladiator, it was the thumbs down, and then he showed Coach K talking about his favorite feeling was when they were on the road. And 3 minutes left, they're up 10, up 12, and the crowd is leaving. So that was that, and then they did the thumbs down thing too. And then he stopped the game and said, "Guys, look around. Everyone's leaving now."
He called a timeout.
He called a timeout, yes. At the 2-yard line, up by 17 to try to score at the very end.
God, he's great.
He is great. A game, by the way, we're going to expand on a little bit later for our best bets, but you're wearing a Houston shirt right now.
Yes.
We're both on Houston. It's a Friday night game. Why are you on Houston like I am?
I think Colorado's defense is a problem. I know you have notes. Please turn to page 10.
Yeah, I have my notes here.
He was all excited this morning because I got her. He's like, I was studying Colorado's defense.
Not
Colorado's going to their 3rd quarterback now. I thought we were going to see Julian Lewis. Now we're seeing
when you bench 2 quarterbacks against Delaware, which Colorado played, like that's a problem.
Yes.
And now you're on the road with the 3rd-string quarterback. Houston defense has played well so far this season. Not underwhelming opponents, but been much better. Colorado is 109th in allowing opponent 10-yard rushes. Not great. 85th on 3rd down. They played Delaware and Georgia Tech so far. Their offensive line allowed 5 sacks against Delaware. I don't like this matchup for them on the road Friday night.
If you don't like defense, you know a game you should probably tune into this week.
Which one?
Akron UAB.
Yeah, no defense.
UAB allowed 42 to Alabama State, and allowing 8 yards of play on the season.
Is that Trent Dilfer still there?
Yep, he is. And then Akron has been outscored 78-0 this year. So something's got.
Oh, they've lost. You're right. They lost 10-0 to Wyoming.
UAB, yes, 10-0 week 1. And I remember someone asking like, "Why is Wyoming like a 6 or 7 point favorite against Akron?" I'm like, "I guess they're playing Akron."
Yeah,
Kent State just bad.
That was bad last week.
Small schools.
We should have.
I pushed 48. It sucked. 55-0. I thought we were okay, Bear.
Well, you talked about that on Bruce and the Bear on Friday about making sure you can get 48. Unfortunately, you lost at 48.5, but
yeah, I got hooked.
28, 35, 42, 49, the multiples of 7. And unfortunately, for those that couldn't get the best number, it came back to.
They should have won that game 75-0.
I don't think any of us accounted for Kent State scoring twice.
No. Last one, Bear, for you, because I know we talked about this a little bit earlier in the week, but on text message. Oklahoma goes to Temple, 21-point favorites.
Oh, this is your specialty.
Oh, this is the mother of all look-ahead spots. And again, I'm glad we brought this up earlier because it was 26.5 at the open, then it was 24.5 early in the week, and then it came all the way down to 21.5. So you now have an opportunity.
Yeah.
If you were able to get in on the best number on Temple earlier, you got 5-point middles, which is like amazing in a game like this. But have you ever seen a schedule for a team where every single one of your conference opponents on your schedule is ranked? That's what Oklahoma is about right now.
Auburn, Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, LSU.
If Mateer wins the Heisman, he will have earned it.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
He's got to stay alive.
That's true.
Against that schedule.
Yeah.
Joe O is pounding Mateer. He had 22 coming into week 2, and now he's rebetting at 10.
I was going to say, what is it, 9?
Man.
That's a tough rebet.
I mean, the marquee games are there. He's got to deliver. By the way, they're betting Cal against Minnesota, which I'm a little surprised by.
Yeah.
See a 1.
Yeah, I guess Darius Taylor, I think, is got a leg injury. Yeah, that was. I like Minnesota. I think Minnesota is a sleeper type team. I've got them over 7.5. But yeah, JKS is. I'd be surprised if JKS was in Berkeley next year. He's going to be, I think, moving on to bigger pastures.
He'll be very
highly
wanted.
sought after.
He'll be very wanted.
Maybe he can go back to Oregon.
after
going back and forth.
After Dante Moore wins a Heisman and Oregon wins a national championship.
Then Lanning leaves. Yeah,
Bear,
of course.
If Oregon wins a national championship, the unbearability of myself on social media is going to be. I am waiting for that day.
It's already unbearable.
It's fine, but imagine being a Washington fan or USC fan when Oregon wins a championship. One day, it's going to happen. One day, I hope so.
It will. It should. Maybe we'll get a nice Miami Oregon national championship game like we should have had in 2001.
That'd be fantastic. Can we sit next to each other? Can we make it like we'll sit next to each other like in the stadium somewhere?
Yeah, we could probably arrange that.
Brandon he didn't say yes right away. He just
because I've already committed to my Miami group of friends. Like it's been a long running joke, like since the offseason about.
Let's sit with you guys.
I don't know if they're going to want you there. They're guy in an Oregon hockey jersey. I don't know if that's going to be welcome.
I'm not wearing a hockey jersey at a football game. I would sweat too much.
You're not going to wear the.
No.
January 19th at Hard Rock might be a little steamy down there.
A little sweaty. All right, let's get to our 2-minute drill and our best bets. Stay tuned. We'll be right there. Welcome back to the Bear Bets podcast presented by DraftKings Sports. We'll get to our best bets here in just a few minutes. Let's start with our 2-minute drill of the week. Our favorite over-under. Bear, lead us off.
I went under 57.5 in Miami USF. I think if you look at USF the first couple of games this year compared to what they did last year, they're a much slower tempo type team. Now, I don't know if that's solely the opponents they were playing, but they're averaging, I think, like 15, 16 fewer plays per game this year than they were last year, which has been a little bit different. Maybe that'll change this week, but I can just envision this. David hit on it earlier. Pollack, Florida ran the ball so much better than people thought last week, than the numbers kind of might have indicated. I think Miami behind that offensive line is just going to dominate the line of scrimmage, long sustained drives. This could be like a 37-10 type of game.
DraftKings has 48.5 in my game. Other books have 49. 49 is a multiple of 7.
Yes. So, imagine that.
Take from that what you must. Just been trying to talk me out of this, though, Bear. I like the under 49 in Oregon Northwestern. It's that sleepy, 11 o'clock kick. The only bad thing is that Pat Fitz is in there to not cut the grass for a month before Oregon rolls in with all the speed to try and slow the speed. 31-10. It's kind of where I'm at in the game, so I like the under 49.
I will be there at the game. Looking forward to it in that temporary stadium. I will be rooting for your under, but also hoping maybe we can score 45 points. 45-0. Good win.
That would be an under.
And the under hits.
Would you buy it up to 49 if it wasn't if you had to lay 120?
No.
Okay.
I would just bet under 49 and minus 110.
I have the over in USC Purdue or 48.5. USC's offense obviously off to a great start so far this season. I think Purdue is much better. They're getting better on offense every week. And more than anything, like USC's defense is still getting pushed around. I think on the road here, I think Purdue will score. I think USC will score. USC, by the way, has scored a ton of points this season at the end of games, the fourth quarter. They've kind of stat padded a tiny bit there at the end, Bear. But I'll take the over here in this game, 3:30 Eastern.
That's an insane catch, by the way.
Oh, Jacoby Lane, that was
not ignore that for 1 second.
Jacoby
What a
Lane,
grab.
that was incredible catch. Underdog most likely to win outright, Bear. What do you got?
There weren't a ton that I really fell in love with this week, but one kind of sneaky one, under the radar type game. Delaware is catching 10 points. They're 3-1 on the money line against UConn. Last week, UConn went to the Dome at Syracuse, blew the game, probably should have won the game. I wonder if there's a hangover effect. Now you're going out to Delaware, who was in their first year. FBS. This team went to Colorado and put 400 yards up there, threw for over 300 yards.
The final score wasn't indicative.
Yeah, this is going to be a much closer game than people think.
Old Dominion got my money, not only to win the conference at 10-1, but I have them on the money line in this game against Virginia Tech. That Hokies team,
trouble. Issues.
I don't know, Bear. And those 8.5s have all morphed into 7s. I think ODU is live.
Again, not a great week for this bet, I think. But I took West Virginia home against Pittsburgh. Rivalry game off a bad loss against Ohio last weekend. Maybe a little fire in their pants here to beat their rival. All right, it's time for our best bets presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Bear, you lead us off here.
Well, I mentioned my best bet presented by DraftKings Sportsbook was Georgia earlier in the show. I like the Bulldogs at the bridge too far with that number coming down to 3.5. A game that I like as well, Memphis, only laying 3.5 now against Troy. Troy, a team that went to Clemson last week, sold out, got the early lead, couldn't hang on. Wonder if there's a little bit of a hangover effect there. Mentioned UConn get 10-point favorite over Delaware. I not only took Delaware a little bit on the money line, took Delaware plus 10, and then two teams in kind of look ahead spots. UL Lafayette, 27.5-point dog. Western Michigan, 27.5-point dog. Favorites both have bigger games next week.
I like Western Michigan. I'm an anti-Illinois guy who went to
all
Illinois.
I'm on Western Michigan, too.
I don't know how this happens. Give me 27.5 with Western. I mentioned the parlay, Notre Dame and Georgia. And then my favorite bet. Let's go, baby. It's Houston time. We're laying 4.5 on Friday night. Let's go.
My best bet is Texas Tech hosting Oregon State at minus 23.5. It might be bounced up to 24 at some point. I'm also on Houston. Minus the 4.5. I think Houston's going to win this game. I think Colorado's going to have a rough go of it. Third-string quarterback, making a road start. Houston's defense starting out really well. And I mentioned the over in USC and Purdue as well. I might have played Oregon, guys. I might not make it the best bet, but I had to play my Ducks.
Well, you're going to be there. You're going to be there, so you got to play, right?
I had to play them, yes.
As long as Houston wins. Big win for the Houston over 6.5 season win total.
I will take it. We will all take it. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll be back next week. Enjoy watching the games this weekend.
Less you bet, more you lose when you win.